right, beautiful souls. Welcome to the Witching Hour space. I am excited to go live in 2024 with you. This is gonna be so good. I don't know if you guys caught that because now it just said I just came live. So I just said, um, this is my first live in 2024. Welcome to my Witching Hour space. I am excited you guys are here. My hair is looking fabulous. So please comment, say hashtag live if you're here live. Say hashtag replay if you're here for the replay. And your overall experience with this. So knowing that, my outside life is pretty crazy. So if you hear dogs barking, scratching on doors, people talking in the background, that's just my life. That's just how we're gonna roll with it. So today, I didn't know I was gonna go live. Okay, and I was like, you know what? Something that has been happening. Sorry, I just ate. Something that has been happening for me recently is creating foundations for myself. And then creating that feeling of foundations within myself. And I feel like a lot of us, when it comes to business, we don't allow ourselves to fertilize and create those foundations as we start as a business owner or as an intuitive entrepreneur. We go from A and we radically want to go into Z. We want the finish line because we've started. Now, when it comes to foundations and businesses, from my own journey, I've learned that it's not about the money or the business that brings in the money. It's the intention and the feeling you set into the business that you are creating, which then creates that foundation for yourself. And that foundation can look in many different ways. So a foundation of money, a foundation of recurring creativity, that could look like having a stable, safe, supportive foundation within your relationship where you feel safe, where your needs are getting met. That is a complete foundation, and there is many more ways we can go with this. So I wanted to give you a question for yourself to kind of riff on. What does a foundation feel like and look like to you? So in 2023, for me, as I have really allowed myself to lean in, allow myself to experience my foundation with my creations, with my relationships, with my business, with money, whether that looks like saving money for my savings for a rainy day, whether that's creating and receiving money and saving that money for taxes, that creates a foundation that you can allow yourself to feel rooted and sit on within life, so you can have more fun within life. You know, money is I'm going to talk a little bit about money. So money is one of the many ways that helps create a foundation in the physical world. It gives us food, it gives us a house to live in or an apartment, it gives us ways to stay warm and have a human experience. Money is, like I said, money is like one of those foundations that helps you create a physical need in your life. Now, from my own experience, I allowed money to take power over me instead of me owning that power over money. And so then this is where the foundation comes in. We are allowing ourselves to be in that energy of power, owning our own power, because that is the internal foundation within ourselves, is owning our fucking power. And then from that internal power helps us create that foundation in the physical world. So not allowing our emotions or not allowing other people's emotions to override our own power and emotions. We're allowing our power to feel safe in any type of environment, especially when it comes to giving and receiving money. Now, a little bit about my story. I've had a lot of breakthroughs in my life around money. And 2023 was one of the biggest years where I allowed myself to lean into what I wanted to create for myself and how I wanted to step into my own embodiment even deeper, even more further. And it allowed me to create a better relationship with money, because money can be a foundation for the physical world for us to live. But not allowing money to take power over our internal being. And I feel like that's a lot of people that mistake about money. It's not the need that it gives us, it's the want that makes us feel a certain way with money. So we want to feel like we are safe and supported with money. Well, then we give that power away to money itself. But instead we want to create that support and safety internally. And this kind of goes both ways, because what we want to create an internal environment for ourselves, a safe, supportive environment for ourselves, we want to have all our basic needs met first. And this is like a somatic nervous system type of thing, where where if our basic needs are not met, we cannot feel safe internally. Okay? When it comes to money, we don't allow ourselves to put our power into money, but we have power over money, creating that safe internal existence, but also allowing ourselves to feel like we have power over the needs and wants in our lives. So we want to create those basic needs and wants to serve as safe experience in our external world, so we can allow ourselves to feel safe internally, so we can have an overflow of safety and support with money. And so I've said this many times in my life, where everything has a relationship. Money has a relationship with your nervous system. Your nervous system has a relationship with business. Your internal intuition has a relationship with your mindset. Your body has a relationship with the earth. Your whole being has a relationship with your relationships with other people. So what we want to do first to create a sustainable foundation is allowing ourselves to feel the feelings of foundation, of feeling rooted in our being, allowing our basic needs to get met, whether or not you are working, but allowing other people to support you along the way. Literally ask others for help. This has been a journey for me. Asking people to help me, but not coupling myself, my power, with someone else. Not coupling money with my relationship with someone else. allowing myself to receive without coupling it to something. Coupling, as most of us, like me, in the past of 2023 and so on, I have coupled my financial situation with my relationships, money with my relationships, allowing money to have power over me and my relationships. For me, that was really, 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 really difficult to see that for myself, because I've done all of this money and mindset work, and it's not just the money and mindset work, it's the body work as well, and allowing yourself to take back that power, create that internal foundation as you are also creating or receiving that external foundation at the same time. We need both. If one of them is not incongruent with the other, it's not gonna work out. If you do not feel safe in your external environment, you will not feel safe in your internal environment. Now, when you start creating those basic needs externally and internally, then things can go more congruent for you, and then the more things come through for you in the external world with overflow. So if we don't have a foundation externally and internally, things won't match up. Energetically, internally, spiritually, this is why it's so important to create a foundation spiritually, internally, physically, and energetically. People may say, well, that takes a lot of work. It does take work, but it's not a lot of work. One small step at a time. That small step is the complete foundation of where you are going. In my own journey, I started with my internal environment first instead of my external environment. And when I started to realize is that actually my external environment has been safe, but my body has not been feeling safe. And as soon as I started to speak up for myself, tuned back in for my own power, my own intuition, allowed that to guide me, the more I spoke up for myself, the more it feels safer in my external environment. And then the more safer I feel in my external environment, the safer and the more supportive I feel in my internal environment. So there's a lot of cleanups we need to do. And when it comes to creating those foundations for yourself, it's who is there for you to co-regulate with you. A therapist, a friend, a family member. And most people you cannot co-regulate with, okay? So me and my partner, there are times we can co-regulate each other, and there's times we can't co-regulate with each other. It just depends on the day, okay? Every day is different, and this is why I am learning to live in flow, because in my past, I did not have emotional available parents on both sides of my family. You know, I grew up with divorced parents when I was a baby. And I'm sure in the internal environment of my mom and her own womb, that affected her a lot more internally, which affected my birth. Inside of my birth, I had the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck. And that created short-term memory loss through my lifetime, that caused speech therapy through my lifetime. But on top of that, I know what my mom was supposed to um, help me with as I was born was creating safety and support and foundation in the body. Now, that did not happen. She was not emotionally available. My whole family was not emotionally available. Then when I came into this world, I was emotionally available. I wanted that connection. I wanted that support. I wanted that safety. And every time I tried, there was no connection. There was no internal safety because my external safety and support was just not there. So I had to learn how to co-regulate and actually preserve myself as a child. And as children, we are not meant to co-regulate by ourselves and preserve. We are actually meant to receive an adult to help us co-regulate with through those emotions by feeling safe and support with our parents or those who are helping us through this life. And as adults, we need co-regulators too, right? And if you don't have any, where can we learn to receive co-regulators in our life? Now, this doesn't mean we go to them for every single problem. This just means that, okay, look inside of yourself. What ways can I tap into my body even more? How can I nurture my body even more within this moment? And some of us don't have that logical brain within ourselves to think like that. A lot of people who are really, really fully aware, we allow ourselves to really be aware of the situation because we will learn how to be aware as little kids. And the more we get into this awareness by coming back into our bodies, the more aware we become of our life, the patterns, the beliefs, the mindset. We then attach ourselves to these patterns and then we try to fix these patterns. Though there is nothing to fix, and this was my problem, I tried to fix myself, but I did not need to fix myself. I need to bring parts back to me, kind of like what is it? It's like not a soul calling, but that's what comes up. Allowing my parts of my soul from my past to come back into my body that has detached from my body and attached to those past situations. So I call those parts back to me from my past situations and I befriend them. I allow myself to be with them and allow them to sit beside me, but not take the wheel on my journey. And that is the foundation of me creating that spiritual foundation space for myself. So, like I said earlier, we have an internal foundation, we have a spiritual foundation, we have a physical foundation, and we have an energetic foundation. So, an energetic foundation is like clearing their energetic clearings, but we allow ourselves to ask, okay, is this energy mine or is this energy someone else's? If it's mine, I work with that energy. If it's not, we clean it, we let it go. The physical foundation is your external environment. That is are your basic needs being met? Are you regulating with someone? Etc. Your internal foundation is breathing into the body and asking yourself, how can I nurture myself today? And then your spiritual foundation is very much, like I just said, bringing those soul parts back, clearing what needs to be detached from those souls, and allow them to come back to the soul that you already hear right now. And how you can work with that spiritual soulful being. Excuse my dog. Excuse my dog. Someone's just moving around the house. I live with my fiance's family at the moment. And so one of these ways with our spiritual physical beings, our internal self, energetic selves, in what areas can we learn to nurture ourselves in? How can we allow ourselves to create a foundation in each part of our experience? And this is a lot of what people miss, is not creating that foundational experience, especially when it comes to business, because like I said earlier, we go from A, starting the business, and then we want to go straight into Z. Okay, so how can we pull ourselves back and come back to A and then create those small steps? How can we create little sprinkles of foundations for our business? How can we create those little sprinkles in our spiritual soulful foundation, or our spiritual experience? How can we sprinkle those foundations, those little steps in our energy? How can we sprinkle those little steps in our internal environment? So for your internal environment, it's mostly touch yourself. Touch your body. Allow yourself to just breathe and come back into the moment. And this is my favorite part, is I do a lot of internal work with clients when they've already done the spiritual work, or they are gaining a deeper level of spirituality, gaining a deeper level of their business as they grow their business, a deeper level of experiencing joyful life in the physical experience. I start with the internal foundation, but that internal foundation needs to match up with the external foundation too. They need to be a match of safety and support. So what I have done for myself to create those safety and support experiences for myself is I created sacred rituals. So I created a little space for myself externally where I can feel safe, I can drop into my internal experience. Some of that may actually look like going to a therapist because you're in a safe room and you're talking. That could be seeing a somatic therapist online. This is what I did, as well as my sacred rituals. I saw a somatic therapist that allowed me to feel safe in my external environment with her alone, in a space that I know I will not get interrupted, where I feel safe. And then I created that internal safety, support, foundational system inside of myself. So those little steps created more safety in my body, and then the more safe I felt, the more I zoomed out of my world and actually looked, and I was like, oh, actually. It is safe to be here. Then I started to go back and forth, back and forth. Safety in my external environment, safety in my internal environment, safety in my external environment, safety in my internal environment. But it starts with the awareness of what type of spaces do I need to create to feel safe and supported in my life? Do I feel supported now in my physical experience? If it doesn't match up with my body, then I know my external environment feels safe. It's safe to be around, but how can I create more safety and support, that foundation in my internal body? Because at the end of the day, guys, the body does not know the difference between past, present, and future. It knows what it feels. It knows when it knows. We can allow ourselves to create small, mini foundations and steps to create safety in the body. And it's a slow burn, it's a slow process, because for me, like, I'm just starting to get the hang of feeling safety and support in my internal well-being. I've always been intuitive. I've always been aware my whole entire life. But the more I get into the nervous system work, the more I get into the internal work, the more I get into the spiritual work, the more I get into the physical work and the energetic work, the more I notice, the deeper I go. It's creating that foundation for yourself so you could go even deeper, and then you go deep in the sea where it's dark, and then there's little, it's like you have the water, and then you got the deep water where there's no light. So you're in that darkness of the deep water. The light of the water, it kind of comes from, it goes in and then it goes out in the top, okay? What we want to do is create that light that goes down into the deep ocean. So we've got light on the top of the ocean, which is big, it's wide, you see the shimmer, the little shimmers. The deeper you go, the less light there is. So it creates this form of going down, and then the small of the light, okay? We want that little speck of light to go and deep dive into that part of the ocean, even just a little speck. And that little speck is that little step of what you want to create. The higher you go, right? It's the pyramid. The higher you go. So that deep ocean, that deep ocean is a part of your journey. It's a part of your foundation. The more we go up, we shine our light. The further we go up into the ocean, the more we can breathe, because we've already been deep. We were allowing ourselves to go even deeper into the ocean, but we go further out into the ocean. The more we shine light onto that darkness, okay? The more we shine light into that that foundation that we thought we never had. So the more we experience, the more we create these foundational steps, the deeper we go, but the higher we go. I am hoping this makes sense for you guys. The deeper we go in our experience, the higher we go with allowing ourselves to breathe, and shine light, the more we will have the capacity to receive, because our window of tolerance or our window of capacity may be like this, but the more steps we go, the capacity gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The more light it shines through into the deep ocean, the further we go in. So you're still in that deep ocean, but then you're like a crab in the sand. You're going into, you're that crab in the sand, and there's a little speck of light, and then you walk a little bit more and there's no light, but then that light starts to follow you. That light starts to follow you, and then the water picks up. The water picks up. It lets you float, lets you float, lets you float. And then back down, slowly you go deeper, you go deeper, you go deeper, you go back into the sand, you walk, that little speck of light is there again. It keeps following you. The bigger the light, the deeper you go. Then the rest of the entire deep ocean will get covered in light. There is no end to that deepness. There is no end in the foundations that you create. The more little steps of foundations you create, the bigger the steps get, the bigger that capacity gets, the more you can rise, the more you can breathe. And yeah, and then it goes and it goes and it goes. You are creating foundational steps to create more foundational steps, and even more foundational steps that gets you where you desire to be. And the bigger you want to be seen, the bigger you want to be known, the bigger you step into that version of you by allowing yourself to be in every single part of you. Because you've created those foundations. You've created those little steps that create the rainbow to the end of the rainbow of those coins, right? But there is no end. It's just an overflow. But it starts with the foundation. It starts with you first, externally and internally. Forget the spiritual and the energetic shit. Create those internal foundations and the external foundations first. Then the energetics come. And then the spirituality comes. You can be spiritual without the internal and external foundation, but you're still going to be in this nervous system dysregulation. And there is no foundation for that spiritual step. There is no foundation for that energetic step. In order for everything to come together, we need to create a safe and supportive foundation in our external environment and then our internal environment. And however that shows up for you, allow that to show up for you. Creating those sacred rituals, going to a therapist. If your needs are met, your basic needs are met, allow that to be your foundation first. And then go from there. We want to create a safe, supportive experience with ourselves. And I feel like a lot of us have this abandonment wound because we don't feel safe to be ourselves, or someone else is going to leave us. And that's happened with me. I needed that emotional foundation, but I never got that from my parents. And that is okay. They only could do what they could do at that time. And it allowed me to gain a lot more awareness in my life where it's actually safe to be in my emotions, and creating those sacred, safe, ritualistic spaces with myself, but also receiving safe experiences with others in my communities are the two things that bring it together for me to feel safe in my spiritual and energetic experiences, and allow myself to expand even further without continuously living in the freeze state. Allowing myself to be putting myself into a community is the one thing to start off with. If you don't have a community, if you don't feel safe in your external environment, what areas can you start to build safe experiences for yourself? How can you create those safe communities? If you don't have money, that is totally fine. I didn't at the time. What I did have is free communities. I went to those free communities. And then I started to get into more and more communities. Free communities. Start off with free communities first and work your way up, because that will slowly build a safety and support for your basic needs to be met emotionally, and then allowing yourself to feel safe by being you. And that's the whole part. Putting yourself into communities that feel safe, and also allowing yourself to give that time for yourself to actually be in spaces just with yourself. Connect with yourself first. And start off with those two things. And trusting yourself is one of the biggest parts of those foundations, because I know a lot of us, we don't trust ourselves because we were abandoned, or we felt abandoned in some kind of way, and then it ripple effects, as in you don't trust money, you don't trust your business to work out, you don't trust yourself enough to have a better relationship. Not everything is a reflection, but if it triggers you, it's a mirror for you. But creating that safety when that trigger comes is really, really, really important. Because some of us, we tend to, when we want to if we want to feel co-regulated with someone, we tend to go into codependency and then depending on someone else for us to feel safe. Well, that doesn't work. From my experience, that doesn't work. Codepending on someone else to make me feel safe. It's my responsibility to feel safe first. Okay, what basic needs are met? All my basic needs are met. Okay. So, what can I do for myself right now? Well, right now, I can walk away from the situation and not put my body into a trauma response when I am talking to that person. So I need to walk away from that argument or whatever that put me into a freeze response. I am more self-aware than I ever was before. I've always been aware, but I'm more deeply aware of what's coming up. So I breathe and I ask myself, what do I need? Do I need to slow down? Do I need to rest? Do I need to walk away? If I walk away, it's okay. I can come back when I feel more calm and regulated in my body to talk to that person of what they did kind of made me feel this way, but it's not their responsibility to make me feel safe. So how can I make myself feel safe in my body when that comes up? So yes. That's a lot there. Oh my god. So when we are creating these foundational emotional experiences with the emotions, with the spirituality, with the internal environment, we want to feel rooted in our bodies, like we trust ourselves. If we don't trust ourselves, nothing's gonna work. And trust me, guys, this has been my experience my whole life. I've been playing with it. Trust is one of those foundations of overflow. And trusting if something does not feel safe externally, trust the move that you want to make, because that will take you to places. Allow the intuition to move through you first, gradually move up into the body, and then in the mind. And the mind is quite logical. And so what we want to do first is allow ourselves to feel that intuitive foundation in our body of how does that intuition want to speak to me right now. Connecting with that intuition, that energy, that part of your body where it feels intuitive. So I want you to do this exercise. If you don't know how to connect with your intuition, start with this. This is an intuitive foundation for you. This is where you can start, okay? So close your eyes. Breathe however you want to breathe. 3 times. I want you to connect with a part of your body that feels more prominent, that feels rooted, that feels expansive. You can touch that area if that feels best for you. I usually like to say, I set the intention to either connect with my inner light. So when you start to bring in that intention of I connect with my inner light, there should be some type of energetic field coming through your body. And then next you want to ask yourself, okay, I set the intention to connect with my intuition. So when you set that intention to connect with your intuition, what part of your body is more expansive or more that you feel more of? Is it in your third eye? Is it in your arm? Is it in your gut? Is it in your knee? Is it in your leg? Which part of your body feels more prominent when you say, I set the intention to connect with my intuition? Place your hand there and ask it a question. And then whatever answer comes up, trust that first answer. That is the answer that is meant for you to receive or to do in this moment. What feelings come up when you touch that part of your body? Is there a taste? Is there a sound? Is there a texture? Is there a color? With that intuition, that part of you that you said, I set the intention to connect with my intuition, and then you place your hand on that prominent part. Allow yourself to really feel into that sensory experience with your intuition, and then ask it a question. Whatever feeling comes up, and then keep allowing yourself to learn into receiving and gaining insight from that intuition. Now, in human design, your intuition can show up in many ways. So for me, as a generator, I have a sacral response. My sacral response is a yes or no. My intuition lays in between my heart center and my gut. So in between the sacral, the root, the heart, in my physical body. Okay? So where it feels most grounded, in those parts, I place my hand on there and I ask it yes or no questions. And then I allow that to move me. I don't logically think my way through things, but I allow my body to talk to me by saying I set the intention to connect with my inner light and my intuition. And then I place my hand on the part that feels more grounded in between my heart center and my gut center. And then I allow that to move me. So work with that when you're beginning to work with your intuition and go from there. And then that creates an intuitive foundation for your body to work with as you move through life. Okay? So I love you. Have a beautiful evening. Please comment below what you thought about this experience today. And have a beautiful, amazing Tuesday. It's Tuesday today. I love you. Mwah. Bye-bye.